Um, this week's Joy of Gratitude has been sponsored as a merit for the Jewish people at this difficult time. You know, it's not difficult to find something to be grateful for this week. One of the rockets that was fired at Jerusalem on Yom Yerushalayim on Monday landed within a short walk from my home to a place that I would regularly go walking with my children. Since then, we've regularly heard the bombs, the booms in the distance, and if I was to go up to my balcony on the roof, in the middle of the night, you can see the rockets being fired away on the horizon. And it's truly shocking. There's been more than 1,200 rockets. Under any normal circumstances, that would be devastating. We would have no life whatsoever. We would be living in complete terror. And yet, overall, the country is continuing to function. Apart from the communities very close to Gaza, and our hearts go out to them, not just for what they're going through now, but what they've gone through ever since the disengagement. But the reason that we're able to continue is because of the Kippah Barzel, normally translated as the Iron Dome, although I prefer to call it the Iron Kippah. Each missile apparently costs, that's every single missile, every single Kippah Barzel missile apparently costs between $40,000 and $100,000. So that's sort of mind-blowing if you think about the amount of money that's being spent on protecting us. The whole system is fascinating. It detects the rocket launch in Gaza. It tracks its trajectory, so it can work out based on that it can calculate the impact point where it's going to land, and it uses this information to determine whether the target constitutes a threat to a designated area, to an area where people will be living, or if it's going to fall in unlived in land. And only when that threat has been determined, then an interceptor missile is fired to destroy the incoming rocket. And it's I think it's a heat-seeking thing or something else. I don't know. It tracks it. It tracks the moving rocket, and it hits it before it reaches the predicted impacted area. And they estimate that between 85 and 95% success rate of those heading for built-up areas are taken out by this system. So I have tremendous gratitude to the creators of the system, to the funders of the system, which includes the US. I have to mention that. I'm not sure what else they're helping us with at the moment, but definitely with the funding of this, they are helping. But of course, if we wear a kippah to remind us constantly that there is a God above who loves us and is protecting us, so this iron kippah should also remind us that Hashem loves us and wants us to survive and wants this country to survive and keeps us ahead of the game. And of course, we have to be grateful to our pilots and our intelligence and our soldiers and our police officers who are protecting us. But here again, it is integral to remember that every stage of the state of Israel's existence has been miraculous. It was miraculous that a nation that had been in exile for almost 2,000 years, scattered to the four corners of the world, persecuted wherever they ended up, finally returned to their homeland. This has never occurred in the history of the world. And it was miraculous that a group of mainly Holocaust survivors, untrained, few in number, managed to defeat the surrounding might of Arab nations. And since then, despite every UN resolution against us, despite every nearby nation hating us, despite all the war and the terror, we are still miraculously here. Here's the thing though. If we are here through a myriad of miracles, we have to realize that miracles need to be deserved. How do you deserve miracles? Well, miracles are in the spiritual realm. You can only deserve miracles if you're earning them in the spiritual realm. Now, of course, this includes learning Torah, doing mitzvot, praying, saying Tehillim as we did just before we started. But I want to share a famous story. It's well known. You may well have heard of it before, but it's very appropriate for this, what we're going through right now. It's a story of Rav Chaim Shmulevitz, the famous spiritual leader and one of the Rosh Yeshiva, one of the head of the yeshiva of the famous Mir Yeshiva. He himself survived the Holocaust by going with the Mir Yeshiva, getting special visas to get through to China and into Japan, and eventually he came with the yeshiva first to America and then to Israel. During the 6-Day War, Rav Chaim Shmulevitz and his students shared a bunker in Jerusalem with other residents. And you've got to remember that the Mir Yeshiva was right by the border at that time. One of the other residents who was in the bunker with them was an older woman whose husband had abandoned her years earlier, leaving her an aguna. An aguna is a woman who is not able to marry anybody else because her husband has run off and isn't giving a divorce document. And this woman had to bring up her children by herself. It was extremely painful for her, and she was now an older lady. Apparently, during this enemy bombardment, this aguna cried out to Hashem, Ribono shel olam, Master of the universe, I forgive my husband. I forgive the great humiliation he caused me. I forgive the great pain that I suffered all these years. And you, merciful Father, forgive us as well. Now, the Mir Yeshiva itself experienced during that war an open miracle when a bomb crashed through the ceiling but didn't explode. And Rabbi Shmulevitz later said that in his opinion, it was the words of this old lady, more than anything else, more than the passionate prayers of these yeshiva boys, more than their recitals of Shema Yisrael, and more than the learning, more than anything else, it was this woman's statement that despite all the pain that she'd been through, she was willing to forgive. He felt it was that statement that helped them survive. Now, let's be honest. This woman must be on some other planet, some other level of greatness. After all those years of suffering to truly forgive, I can't even begin to imagine it. But us, on our level, we should know that it is an unbelievable merit when someone who has been hurt or upset by someone, embarrassed in public, is willing to forgive. And it's also a tremendous merit if someone apologizes for some suffering that they've caused another. So at this time, when the Jewish people need yet more miracles, we need all the merit we can get. Is there someone that you can find it in your heart to forgive? They may not even have asked you to forgive them, but that doesn't matter. Can you find it in your heart to forgive them? Is there someone that you need to apologize to? Now's the time. Grab the opportunity and change our future. Thank you for joining. I hope that we have better news this week, and I hope to see you all next week, healthy and happy. Keep well.